Judge Napolitano and Stuart Varney are going to debate the issue of prayer in school on Fox Business Network. Let's watch.
Listen to this. There's a new bill. It's being considered in Georgia. It would allow prayer in public schools. It would let students pray before, during, and after school events and at events like pep rallies and football games. Judge Napolitano is here. I would suggest that that is profoundly unconstitutional.
I think you're on solid ground there, Mr. Varney. You know, I understand why politicians offer these bills because it makes them popular with people that would like the law to change. But the Supreme Court has ruled so consistently that we're talking about young people now. We're talking about people who are 17 years of age and younger. Some could be 18. And the Supreme Court has said when you force them to make a choice, religion or non-religion, listening and paying attention to the prayer or not listening and paying attention to the prayer, the forcing of them to make a choice is what touches the conscience of young people, and government may not do that.
Okay, now look, what we've done in America, in my opinion, is we've gone too far in the other direction. I have no problem whatsoever with a group of kids who want to hold Bible study on school property after school. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's not a war on religion. It's a club within the school.
Well, here's what the Supreme Court would say, and my sympathies are closer to yours than with the court, but the law is very, very clear. The use of public assets for an openly, notoriously religious purpose is not permitted by the First Amendment. Now, can you study the Bible as literature? Of course. Right. Can you study the Bible as history? Of course. Can classes be taught that in public schools? And again, we're talking about public schools. We're not talking about public universities. We're talking about secondary schools. Universities are different because students are older and more mature. So says the Supreme Court, and it's probably rational. But to use a public asset to promote a sectarian religion is what the Supreme Court has said the First Amendment was written to prevent.
But
now it has
gone too far.
Yes, it has cleansed the public marketplace of all rational, normal references to the existence of God.
Suppose the Georgia law, which is probably going to be struck down, but maybe it drags us back to the era of sanity, where you can mention Jesus in your classroom. You can mention Mohammed in your classroom.
You can mention that in a literary, artistic,
in
or
a religious
historical way.
Come on.
The Supreme Court has said not on government property, and quite frankly, these people in Georgia should know that.
Time's up.
Okay.
It's not dragging us back to an age of sanity to allow prayer in school and talking about so-called deities in a religious sense in school. Judge Napolitano said it right there, and he's right when he says, in school, you're allowed to talk about the history of religions, the facts behind religion, of course, but you're just not allowed to bring it up in the context of, we are worshiping one religion or another religion or one god or another god. But you have Stuart Varney who's like appalled by that. Well, maybe this will drag us back to sanity when we can do prayer in school. Why is that sanity? No, that's not sanity. I would argue quite the opposite. That's insane. Take out the word religion, put in the word cult, and ask yourself how you feel about it. Now, cults are typically smaller and a little more extreme and fundamentalist in their beliefs, and oftentimes they end in bad ways where everybody kind of mass kills each other or something of that nature. But what is a religion except a very, very large cult? Now, some people are not, very big into literal interpretations of their cult, and they're just part of a group, and they're like, yeah, I'm with you guys, and then they just live their life like a normal person, and I got nothing against those people. But to say, I'm part of this group has myths that we believe are true and are factual, these would be the literalists, and we're going to live our life based around that. No, that is just a big cult. Call it what it is. Religious fundamentalists are in a big cult. That's what it is. And this guy's saying, why can't we just I don't understand why we can't have in our public schools prayer to our not proven, non-existent space fairy. You really don't understand that? You really don't understand why you shouldn't be doing that? No, that's unbelievable. What Stuart Varney wants is institutionalized worship of Scooby-Doo in public schools. No, I don't want that. I don't want you worshiping Scooby-Doo. I don't want you worshiping Pokemon. I don't want you worshiping Harry Potter or Narnia or The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I don't want you worshiping the zombie Jew carpenter. I don't want you worshiping Vishnu. I don't want you doing any of that. You can learn about it historically, sure. But the idea that you're indoctrinated with this belief is true and you shall pray to said God. No, you're the bad guy there. And let's be perfectly clear about something, guys. Secularism is the compromise. So I love it when there are theocrats who act like they're being more reasonable or above the fray, like Stuart Varney's doing here. We're like, well, what do you mean? I'm just saying that we should be able to pray to our space ferry in public schools. What do you mean? You're against me? Oh my God, you're such a bigot. No, perhaps you're the bigot. Because what does secularism mean? It means the government will be neutral on all issues of religion. They're not going to pick one god over another or favor one god over another or pick religion over non-religion. So that's just the government saying, okay, washing our hands of this, we got nothing to do with religion. So under a secular government, you're allowed to be Muslim, Christian, Jewish, atheist, Hindu, Buddhist, anything you fucking want to be, anything you want to be. The only rule that goes hand in hand with that is you can't take your existential, religious, made-up ideology and enforce it on others through the state. That's all it means. That's all it means. So think about it, man. The compromise is, let's just do no prayers in school. Because then a Muslim's going to come along and say, I want my religion to be the one religion that we teach there, and we pray to our God in there, and that's the only way. That's what I want. Then a fundamentalist Christian comes along and say, no, we're not praying to Allah. We're not praying to Muhammad. We're going to pray to Jesus. I want my religion to be in there. And then somebody from another religion can come in. I believe in the Roman gods. We will teach as if the Roman gods are true. And then everybody's vying and say, we shall be the one religion that we teach and we worship and we pray. So what's the middle ground? What's the compromise? All you guys take a fucking hike. You can worship your gods on your own time, but in the government and in public schools, we're just out of that game. We're out of the religious game. And these clowns think, oh, how that's so wrong and so misguided. We need to go back to the days of common sense and reason where we worshipped space fairies in school. No, I don't think so.